Previously on
my Marvel Marathon thing.
Welcome. It is July 14th, approximately 8:51 a.m.
The Star-Spangled Man with a plan. I'll go out and say it. It's incredible.
As you can see, I am joined by my friend Lincoln. Say hi.
What's up, buddies? Let's go.
I'm excited to jump into tomorrow. I'm gonna go get some sleep. Day 1 of marathon. 6 hours.
Oh no. Nobody in this world is perfect, except for the likes of one Hubert Jackman. And due to the fact that I am not Hubert Jackman, I am therefore not perfect. With this notion being established between us all, it came to my attention that all of my audio for day 2 and most of day 3 of my Marvel Marathon became corrupted. This corruption came from some outside, mysterious, unknowable force that we will never find out where it came from. I have no clue where it came from at all. Don't ask. So, for the next however long it takes, you will be hearing my voice coming from the ethereal beyond, narrating my journey through day 2 and most of day 3 of my marathon, rather than hearing my raw, very emotive and exciting reactions to these movies. I know, what a tragedy. So, that being said, let's go. Day 2 began for me around 3:30 a.m. when I woke up, got showered, and changed into some fresh clothes, both in an odor and fashion sense. As I got ready to start the next film, I surprisingly wasn't very tired. I honestly felt like a kid waking up at the butt crack of dawn on Christmas morning, except in a more grown-up and mature way, obviously. One of the things that excited me the most about Day 2 was the lineup of films I put together for the day. Day 1 of the marathon was all about origins and beginnings, how the MCU began. These origins, though they did grow in scale with films like Thor, Captain Marvel, and the Avengers, were mostly grounded in a formula and realness that gave the MCU its signature brand. A brand that a lot of major critics of these films always harp on about. And I'm not here to disagree. In fact, I do agree. However, after the Avengers is where I think the entire universe just explodes into a massive shower of colors, humor, and lots of arms being cut off. The first film of the day was at 4 a.m., Thor: The Dark World. This film has always been at the very bottom of my favorites list, and with this rewatch, well, opinions really haven't changed. Pacing of this film is a little slow for me, the villains are far from menacing, and I just felt that the tone of the film really is stuck between the Shakespearean drama of the first film, which I love, and a more witty action comedy feel that the rest of the MCU has. It doesn't really dip into either of those genres enough to really make it stick out to me. It does have a lot of good going for it, though. Natalie Portman gets to shine a little bit. Loki has some pretty cool scenes, and for some odd reason, we keep going back to this movie later down the line in the rest of the MCU. For example, with the time heist in Endgame, they go back to Thor: The Dark World, and key emotional beats in the Loki TV series come from Thor: The Dark World, which I just find so interesting and funny. Now, the next two films that I watched at 6 a.m. and 8:10 a.m. respectively were both of the Guardians of the Galaxy films, which canonically take place very close right after another. Now, these films are just so fun. The way that this ragtag group of heroes were introduced to the public without nearly any prior knowledge from the average moviegoer, or even a lot of hardcore comic fans, and somehow becoming massively popular and even getting their own attraction at Disneyland before the rest of the core Avengers got anything. It's just insane. I think it is pretty safe to say that the first film is widely praised among all fans, whereas the second isn't as commended, But I think I now enjoy the second film more than the first. The second keeps all of the witty dialogue and awesome action from the first film, but adds even more wacky colors and crazy humor, and packs this massive emotional center to it that just hits me every single time. One of my favorite shots in all of the MCU is the ending shot to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, when the camera just settles on Rocket's tear-filled eyes, taking in the celebration of Yondu's life. Oh, it gets me choked up every freaking time. At 10:35, I began Iron Man 3. Along with The Dark World, Iron Man 3 is probably one of the weaker films of the MCU, in my opinion. However, I really love the moments when they touch on Tony's mental health and his PTSD from the Battle of New York. Not only do they strip away Tony's armor, Jarvis, and really his whole life, they strip away his mental stability and confidence, which, again, is a really strong choice that I enjoy from this film. I don't really have much else to add about this film. It's kind of, I don't know, just there. It's okay. At 1:10 p.m., I began perhaps my favorite MCU film, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. By the way, it's also my brother's favorite film. This film has always blown me away about how it handles the character of Steve Rogers. The film just does great in placing him into the modern world and putting him in situations that seem foreign to him and makes him feel out of touch. The action is just superb and visceral. The score from Henry Jackman is insanely good. And I forever love this film for introducing us to the Russo brothers, who have created some of the best MCU films to date. Approaching the end of day 2 now, I began Age of Ultron. This is another film that I have just grown to love more the more I watch it. Yeah, there are some pretty cringy moments, and sure, director Joss Whedon may not be a very good person, but dang do I enjoy this movie. Something I realized while watching this movie was how integral the events of this movie are to the future of the MCU. We're introduced to the Maximoff twins, one of which is clearly playing a massive role in the future of the MCU. We get further explanation into what the Infinity Stones are and how important they will be going forward. And we even get some pretty tense moments between the members of the team, which will inevitably lead to their breakup in Civil War, which we will discuss shortly. I also would be remiss if I did not give credit to where credit is due when it comes to the character of Ultron. James Spader really brought this character to life in such a powerful and frightening way, and to this day it's one of my favorite villain performances in the MCU. Also, can we talk about how great this scene is? Dang, banger of a scene. So I'm realizing that I haven't really talked about how the marathon itself was going for me at this point. Overall, I was having such a fun time, but I started to feel a little tired. So I thought it would be a good idea to get up, stretch my legs, and burn my eye sockets by going outside. This really helped me wake up, and I ended up just popping outside for a second or two after watching most of the rest of the films of the marathon. Also because it looked beautiful outside. Speeding into 6 o'clock that night, I started Ant-Man. I mean, what much is there to say about this movie? Funny as hell. Amazing cast. Paul Rudd never ages. Baskin-Robbins don't play. The final film of the night was Captain America: Civil War. Now this has always been in my top 3 MCU films and still is after this rewatch. Of course I love the character of Steve Rogers, but this film is honestly Avengers 2.5. I love how they dive into the shattered pieces that are the Avengers at this point. And this film also hits hardest on more emotional beats than most other films in the MCU. And similar to Ultron, Baron Zemo cements himself as one of the most compelling villains Marvel has given us, in my opinion. And of course, this film also introduces us to the king himself, Chadwick Boseman, who is, goes without saying, superb. After Civil War was over, I reached the halfway point of my marathon. I finished the film around 10:45 p.m. and was really excited about the prospect of getting a little extra sleep, that is, compared to the previous night's sleep. I was so excited, in fact, that I even gave myself some extra time to shave and take a nice warm shower before I hurried off to bed. I was really jazzed for the next day to come when I would begin day 3 of my marathon by watching Black Widow at 4 a.m. the next day. That is if I remember to set my alarm. Wait. My alarm. said it. Oh no, I need to wake up. I said, don't fall asleep. Wake up. It's morning.